Good morning. It's hard to believe that 12 weeks has gone by so fast. Well, I want to first just start off by just saying thank you for all of you who've invested your time, your resources, who've been present, who've shared your wins, and just ultimately committing to grow. Now, today, I want to walk us all through a recap of what's going on and ultimately what's going to come next. And I know for many of us, we're navigating through a challenging economy and market that many of us have never faced. So let me just start off by helping you make sense of this. What's actually going on is called a triple bubble. A triple bubble is the real estate prices, stock prices, and debt prices are all three deviations away from their standard median. What does that mean in like simple English for us to understand? That means that all three of those are at 99.5% historical highs. So if you start thinking about that, what we're going to see next is very difficult because it's something that, quite frankly, we've never navigated through before. Now, what I want you all to focus on is staying active. Right? Because what we know is that in these scenarios, if people choose to pause and freeze, that is where the loss will come in, right? Because what's going to happen for a lot of people is they're not going to know what to say to their clients. They're not going to be confident in it. And the idea of people saying they don't want to work with people, pulling back or everything, gives them the illusion that they're losing money. So they avoid the conversations because they don't want to face the actual loss. Does that all make sense? And the other thing that I'm seeing is I've gone to all these different sales meetings and people have asked us to talk about this. And I'm asking people, what are you saying to your clients? And let me tell you, it is some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard in my life. You're not an economist, you're not a mortgage banker, and you don't have a crystal ball to tell the future. People are asking you for certainty during an uncertain time, correct? What's going to happen with the market? I don't know. If I knew that, I'd be richer than Warren Buffett. I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. We could be rich together. I don't have money to give away and solve a world problem. So you have to focus on being present and the facts. Does this make sense to everybody? In reality, all of the things that you have trained for are going to help you in this next emerging recession. Because remember how I shared with you, once you learn the skill, it's just a matter of changing the conversation around. Remember we talked about accepting the market? Well, there's just a new market to accept. It's the same framework, just insert the different scenario. So number one, don't be afraid to talk to your clients. Number two, do not retreat and pull back everything you're doing. It's the worst decision you make. Now, number three, write these two things down that I want you to be very present of. Opportunity cost, right? There's an opportunity cost to live your life, that's your household expenses, and run your business. Those are the numbers you need to focus on because we all have choices to make. And we need to realize that one bad month is really wasting that much money. The costs to run our lives and the costs to run our businesses. You have to stay ahead. You have to keep role playing. You have to keep reaching out to your clients. And why I want you to keep those numbers ahead is during times like this, you need to realize if you don't pay attention and do what you need to do, that's how much money you're looking at losing in just 1 month. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because a lot of us have families and people that depend on us, whether it's ourselves or other people around us. You have to be aware of this. Now, here's the flip side of all this. Everyone else, the majority of people, I would say at least 60 to 70% of realtors in the 14 plus years I've been doing this, 15 now, that's what they're all going to do. They're going to freeze, they're going to pause, and they're not going to invest in a smart way. There is a ton of opportunity out there. So yesterday we had a call with our mastermind group, and these are all some of the best agents at Compass. They all probably do $100+ million a year in business. And you know a trend that they all commonly share is they're getting calls from different areas now where people are interviewing brokers because they just don't want to work with anyone because you can't just put a sign in and sell the house anymore. There's actual skills involved. So again, all of these things that we've talked about and spent time doing, don't a lot of those things go back to skills, conversations, emotional empathy, connecting with people where they are, right? They're all very relevant. So I'm going to pull up my deck. I'm going to go through this relatively quickly so I can leave some time for Q&A. Sound good? And here's our recap. We're going to talk about the perfect outreach to seller leads. CRM is marketing, the agent referral network, getting buyers to accept the offer, accept the market, multiple offers, and getting sellers to list your price. Now, the perfect outreach. This is where we all started. Now, remember, likely to sell are free seller leads. Now, this is the best opportunity you have right now for money. Can anyone share in the chat why? Besides the fact that it's free. Okay. No one has an answer. I see some people typing. Well, here's the reality. You know what a lot of people are realizing? If prices are at 99.5% high, rates are going up, what do you think are going to happen to prices? Eventually, they have to come down. How much? No one knows. So there are a lot of people that are now waiting that we're going to list last year or excuse me, next year or the year before. They're all contacting agents like, can I list this summer? Is it too late to list? Is it too late to list? Do you think I should list now? Do you think I should wait? There are a lot more of those conversations. So all of these free seller leads, you have to start marketing to them. Remember the process, right? You're going to organize them, you're going to tag them, and then you're going to continue to market to them and be smart about it. Now, here's the thing. What holds you back from actually doing this? You don't know what to say. I don't know who the people are. What if they send back a nasty message? Now, remember our framework in doing this, right? It's 3 steps. Be conversational, add value, create intrigue. When we talk about being conversational, it's share a story that they can relate to. The easier it is for people to relate to an experience that they already have, know, trust, like, love, like going to their financial planner for an annual review of their portfolio. Add value, give a statistic or a fact or something they could not get anywhere else, and generally provide interpretation to it. Don't just give data, interpret the data. Because remember, they can get the data without you. And number 3, create intrigue. Ask great questions that create conversation. The goal is to have someone respond. Right. So if you look at those 3 things, you're reading a message, you're like, oh, wow, okay, this makes sense. Oh, that's interesting. I could do something like that. I never knew this. Like, wow, this is something I really need to think about. And a great question that says, I should reach out to Doug and talk to him about this. And I've been thinking actually about moving. Now, phrases that can help you. No need to respond. As soon as you say this, people write back. I just wanted to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and let you know that I'm thankful for the opportunity to help you and your family find your first home. You know, no need to respond. I know you're busy with the holidays. I just thought of you and want to send this message. Right. Every single time you say that, people respond. Right. Just thought of you and want to send a quick note. And the other one is there's a way on in bulk messaging where it says signature. You could remove your signature and just write sent from my iPhone. If you want to see something funny, go watch a recording of Robert and I's last accountability session. And when I showed him, I'm like, look, Robert, you could remove this and send from my iPhone. He started hysterically laughing. He's like, now that is good. So we know if we start seeing those messages from him where they came from. Now, remember, CRM is marketing. Every touch point in there is a marketing and representation of your brand and who you are. So when you start thinking about it, how do we use data to make more money in your CRM? We can all thank Kate Bauer for this spreadsheet that she has that helps you figure this out. The first thing is you need to identify where your business comes from. And then based on that, you can start sending more thoughtful marketing messages to each people. The goal of effective marketing is to send meaningful messages in a segmented way that resonate with people. Remember, people that have young children aren't looking for the best happy hour spots necessarily. People that are empty nesters don't care about where they can bring their kids on a weekend, right? And if you're a single person dating, you don't want to see where family activities are, right? If somebody just bought a house, you don't want to send them an email that says historical low interest rates when you told them that a year ago and the rates are now different. We have to focus on our pie charts, meaning stop sending your open house emails to everyone in your database. Number two, do you realize sometimes when you send 6 emails in your database out, I could potentially get 6 emails for you? Listen, candidly, we're not the best at this either because people write us back and say, hey, you guys made a mistake and you sent it to multiple lists. People are on multiple lists. So cleaning your data and your lists are very important. Now, who are the 3 types of people that you put in your CRM? Number 1, people who you've closed business with. Number 2, people who've referred you business. Number 3, people you want to have a relationship with to grow your business. Who here has thousands of contacts in their CRMs and they don't know who they are? Hit yes. Let's see how many people want to be honest. There it is. Okay. So do you know why it's so hard for the people that hit yes and the people that are not hitting yes that probably have this too? When you look at all these people by human nature, your brain is going to avoid that one negative response. Think about it. There's 24 hours in the day. I don't know how many minutes, how many seconds, but it's a lot. In a day, do you generally focus on the 99% of things that went well, or if something goes really wrong, you talk about it all day to people? That's what people do. That's human nature. So when you see all of these people in your database, you're not going to do anything because you're going to be overwhelmed. Like, I don't know who these people are. What are they going to think about me? What if I send them the wrong message? Like that's what goes through your head versus like, wow, how can I add value to these people who've added value to me? Clean up your lists. If there's one project that you all need to do before the year's done, is get rid of all the garbage in your CRM. Especially in a market that's shifting the way it is. Like, look, one of the things that people really aren't talking about either is the access to technology and information clients have today. If you think I'm kidding, go on Zillow and look at all the information associated to one house that a person could get without an agent. And go back 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, and look at just how much that collapses, right? We need to go back and love on our clients more than we ever did before. And if you're a new agent, you need to understand all of that stuff more than you did before, because you need to understand what the gap is, where the website ends and where you can continue. Because it's easier to go back to a past client from 3, 4, 5 years ago and get them to refer you somebody than it is to convert these new people to have all of this information. And people really haven't wrapped their heads around how to effectively communicate with them. There's a gap. Every one of these platforms is a starting place and end place. And our job is to figure out where that end place is and figure out what's next and fill that gap. So having clean people in your CRM is really important because it's much easier to do. Compass Agent Referral Network. Now, all of us want to build a referral network. If you are not getting at least 5 deals a year from other Compass agents, you're not spending enough time talking to other agents. There are deals everywhere, right? So there's a 3-step process. You need to build your relationships, you need to nurture your relationships, and you need to grow your relationships. Have you ever met somebody and it's such a great conversation? You're like, yeah, we're going to be friends forever. We're going to work together. We're going to do all this stuff. A lot of these interactions generally involve alcohol too, which makes it harder to remember. Now, you go back and the next day you're like, what'd they say? And what was I supposed to do? And who's that person? And that's it. It ends. So you need to be mindful and have an actual strategy when doing this. You can meet people, but there's a saying in sales, the real sale starts after somebody hires you. I believe in network relationships. The real relationship starts after you have your first connection. What happens next? You can tell a lot about somebody about how they stay in touch with people, right? Everyone's busy. Everyone has 24 hours in a day. Everyone has things they have to do. I'm no different than any of you. But when relationships are important, you make time for them. You know, a great quote that one of my first mentors said is, he says, you know what, Chirag? He goes, what people that want to get things done and things that are important to them, find a way to do them. People who don't want to do things find excuses. Every person that tells another person I'm too busy to do it, quite frankly, is full of crap because they have time to go on Instagram every day and click that circle. Sending a voice note takes somebody 15, 20 seconds, but the amount of words you can communicate with emotion and vocation in that 20 seconds is a lie. So realize as a retreat is coming up, as you meet people in our community, how to move forward with these relationships. Now, how do we do this? Building markets and groups, right? So if you're going to feeder markets or you're working in coaching groups like ours, when you talk to somebody, keep it personal. Be curious. If you initiated the meeting, do not talk about yourself the whole time. A sign of success in a conversation is when another person says, hey, why don't you tell me more about you? We spent the whole time talking about me. That's how you know you're being a good listener. Now, everyone likes to talk about themselves. Most people do. So go and learn about somebody else. Document everything. I'm not kidding you. When you go to the Compass Retreat and you have a good connection, literally take out your phone, go to your CRM and put a couple notes in and create a task to follow up with them in a week. It takes 2 minutes to do. But again, in a market that's like this, isn't it easier to get, aren't agent referrals great referrals? They're generally personal recommendations. It's just like a past client referral, and it's better than like meeting strangers online. And the last one is stay connected, right? You have to stay in touch. I believe personally, and I tell all of our clients this, if you don't set a task to follow up with somebody after you made a great relationship, you just wasted your time in the conversation. You're never going to do it. Social media is a great way to nurture relationships. See what people are doing. I see many people here that I communicate with on social media. Someone sent me a message the other day. They go, wow, you really respond to all your DMs. I'm like, yeah, I respond to all my DMs. It's actually one of the best ways to get me because my email is filled with God knows how much stuff. If you send me a DM or you send me a voice note, that's the fastest way to get a response because it doesn't take a lot of time. And these are places I actually like to interact with people on, right? So follow people on social media. Don't just like their post. Take the time to write a comment. Anyone could sit there and hit that heart and a heart and a heart. If a relationship is meaningful, engage in the conversation. Zoom coffee and meetups. Have coffee with people over Zoom and talk shop. Set up meetups when you go to retreats or host them otherwise. I know Kate is going to host a meetup for all the people that are in our playbook program and her new accountability group. And she's like, I want to do one on the West Coast and I want to do one on the East Coast. I go, great, we'll find all the people, we'll send them to you, right? But that's her opportunity to meet all of you and connect with people that she's had a relationship with. Mastermind, put a group of people together and share best practices around a topic. Be a leader and be the connector. Now, growing relationships. Now, number one, it's in-person meetups, feeder market visits, retreat get-togethers, meeting up at our events, and any other local Compass events. These are all places to grow relationships. By the way, if you have friends that you've met in any of these outlets and your area is having like a big local meetup, invite them to your meetup. That is a great way to grow relationships by introducing them to other people and helping them. I know a handful of our clients just went down to the Florida golf outing, and they all had a great time. Boston, Connecticut, New York City, all of them, they all went down and they spent time in Boca and in Miami, and they were sharing how positive the experience was and how welcoming the other Compass colleagues of theirs were. Does this make sense to everybody? Good. Getting the buyers to accept the market. How relevant is this message? Our ability to have effective conversations with our clients is about price in the market. Now, isn't it amazing that I think it was like, I don't know, 7, 8 weeks ago, we did this, and it was very relevant then about like putting offers above asking and everything else. And now it's about a whole different conversation. Remember, once you learn these skills, you'll win in any market because you'll actually know how to do them. The one area that is the most undertrained area in real estate is how to have effective conversations with people. It's like all the great conversation trainers just died. And some of these things that people tell you to do in sales will make you cringe. You don't want to do them. Who wants to do them? No one wants to be sold, but everyone wants to buy. I don't know anyone, if I offered you money and said, hey, let's go on a shopping spree on Fifth Avenue, you would say no. But that whole feeling of being sold to, think about this. If you're sold to, your human nature is to push back and say no. Right? So think about our seven rules of effective conversations. Number one, it's always their choice. Number two, the person asking the questions controls the conversation. Number three, everything has to be in the client's benefit. Number four, always be in agreement with the client. Number five, no telling, no explaining, no being combative. Number six, never be emotionally attached to the outcome. Number seven, just because someone chooses to do something that's not in alignment with your views, values, and standards doesn't mean that you have to go along with it. Wow, this is very relevant too. This is kind of like hot tub time machine, like watching all this stuff again. Stop owning the market with buyers. Hey, Liz, what's going to happen next? Hey, Doug, hey, Taylor, what's going to happen next? I don't know what the heck's going to happen next. Well, let's go backwards and look forward. We know that rates are going to keep going up, right? They have told us that. That is a fact. The bank-to-bank lending rate is at 1.75%. They said by the end of the year, it's projected to be at 3.5%. That's a fact. Now, do you guys all want to know what to say to buyers when they ask you this question? Here's the thing. Look, we want to realign the current market with your original goals and expectations. Realign the current market with your original goals and expectations. I would take their original pre-approval and their pre-approval today, and the first thing I would do is I would say there's a blank amount of dollar discrepancy, and I just want to acknowledge that it's whatever your choice of words are. It sucks, it's terrible, it's uncomfortable, however it is, and be like, I just want you to know I'm on the same page as that. Be in alignment with them. Because what agents are doing, they're saying these things like, this is still historical low interest rates, right? So my dad said that to me when I had breakfast with him on Father's Day. And I said, Dad, do you know what that means to me? He goes, what? I go, nothing. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, it's history. I go, yeah, when those interest rates were 17, 18%, what was I doing? Oh, that's right. I was barely crawling around on your floor. It's not part of my experience. It's not something I know about. All I know is that in January, I could get a 3% mortgage. All I know is today that it's like close to double, whether it's conforming or jumbo. That is what people know. So don't talk about history, because history is just going to piss people off. Talk about facts and them. Make it all about them. This is why people avoid the conversation, because they don't even know how to do it. They're going to be like, well, it's historically still low. Great. Be a snake oil salesman. It's not a great idea. That's what it feels like to somebody. When you're, think about this, as a human being, if in January you felt comfortable with a $3,500 payment and you're looking at an $804,000 house of a market that's already at a 99% high, so you weren't even happy with what you're getting at $804,000. Now, 6 months later, you could buy roughly around for that same thing, $625,000 of a $625,000 price that's at the 99.5% high. Do you think anyone's really happy in that situation? No. And if you say anything along the lines of you should be happier, they're going to be happy with you? Probably not. 80% of moves are done out of necessity. 20% are done for a variety of other reasons. People still have to move. So when we stop owning the market, it's realigning them around 4 possible outcomes, right? Outcome number one, we're going to go through the market and see if based on the current market, and if you are comfortable with the new mortgage payment what it takes to win a home. Number two, we're going to review the market and realize that unless the perfect home comes on or prices go down, it's not a great time for you to buy. Number three, we're going to review possible renting opportunities and what that would look like right now. And number four, staying where you are. And whatever you decide to do, I want to support you in that decision 100%. What buyer could ever be mad at you for that? Nobody. Is that a very difficult conversation to have? No, it's not. There's this thing called natural selection. In natural selection, these people raise their hand and say, you know what? I shouldn't buy a house right now. Thank you. And do you know what we're finding with all our clients around the country that are having these conversations? Those people that say no are their best referral sources. They're getting deals from these people because you're an honest realtor. No agent that anyone thinks of wants to lose a client, correct? So when you're doing this honestly, it comes from a different place of contribution and giving. There it is. Everything we've done can be reframed for what's going on now. And this is the whole concept of coaching for that we've talked about, right? Is understanding how to stay ahead of this. As an industry, we're always playing for behind, right? And it's asking versus telling. Our brain processes information differently when I say it to you versus when you say it, right? So that goes back to, based on the data you're seeing, do you think this is a good time for you to buy? Yes, I think this is a good time to buy. Then when you go back and they're gonna go back, it's gonna say, look, has something changed? You know, I'd say, Taylor, you felt that this was a good time to buy. What's changed for you? As you said, not what I said. And now flip that conversation. Hey, Taylor, it's still really a great time to buy. Interest rates are at historical lows, you know, on average they're around 10%. You're like, what the heck is this? No, you're naturally going to push back. Remember, based on what you are saying, you feel the market is. You want to get their ideas. Remember, in leadership, we talk about that iceberg, right? All the things above the iceberg are the things that people show you, people tell you. Under their iceberg are all their past experience, thoughts, concerns, disappointments, and those are the things you're really selling to. In sales, there's the primary benefit and the secondary benefit. It's like, and people are really, they buy for the primary benefit, but they really want the secondary benefit. So it's aligning around that. Like most people tell you, I want to go to the gym and get in shape. And the real question is, it's like, all right, where are you going and what do you want to look good for? Like that's really what it is, but they'll never buy based on that. Right? So all of you will join coaching to make more money because that's how you guys buy. But really when it comes down to it's like, well, I want a better business. And why do you want to have a better business? It always comes down to having a better quality of life. Something you're saving money for, something you want to do, a result of what happens, right? So it's important to understand that. Now, when you start talking about preparing for multiple offer conversations, well, this is now shift, right? Some markets still have multiple offers and you need to go through this, but really it's about key data points. How many days on market, the average time from when the house hits the market to highest and best, list price to sales price, percent sold versus financing. You want to know all of this information. Now, when you go backwards and you're talking to a buyer about making an offer, you're going to say, this is what's happening before. And you're going to say, look, the average days on market 7. Now this home's already been on the market 2 weeks, right? So that gives you a little more bartering power, right? So these are all numbers that you'll always want to know, right? Days on market, list price to sales price. And you always want to know, and you sound smart, like 70% of homes in this area are sold via financing and 30% are sold via cash. These are all data facts that you can find out. Positional bargaining. Now, positional bargaining is taking a position on somebody's home. If your home is worth 1-1, closed in 30 days, here are my contingencies. You've now taken a fixed position on something that people have a lot of emotion and thoughts and feelings around. If it's an investment home, it's fine, but still, positional bartering is an ineffective negotiation tactic. And it really tells someone that you have just, this is it. Look, your house is like a piece of paper. This is what it is. Now, our goal is to create certainty in making offers. Now, think about what you know as a person. If you had to really sell something and it wasn't in this crazy world called real estate, if somebody just gave you somebody's name, a price, terms, conditions, and a pre-approval from a stranger, would you really feel good selling them something that was hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars? You'd be like, who is this person? What do they do? Why should I sell it to them? Are they going to be able to get a mortgage? All of these things people want to know. So our job is to create certainty around our buyers' offers. Now, as the market shifts, this will make your offer even stronger. Now, let's walk through an offer. Now, this is what you don't want to do. You ever get offers like this? Like, take a look and read this for a second. Remember I talked about that Sherman Antitrust Act in Missouri? Imagine somebody was paying you out of their pocket for the commission, and this is how you're negotiating for their home. This is crazy. And this is another one of the reasons that people don't like real estate agents. Could you imagine if you knew this is what your agent was doing when they could do something like this? This is an effective offer. It's a cover letter, it's an offer, it's a breakdown to the seller. This entire template is in our system. So we don't share resources with you that you have to go reinvent on your own. We make them so you could use them because that's really the only benefit. All right, I know I'm going really fast, but hit yes if you've got a good nugget that you kind of just remembered throughout the course of this as we've kind of been going through this in rapid fire. Good. Getting the sellers to list at your price. Now, this I know from so many different people they've used, and it's worked out really well for them. You control, I control, no one controls. This is called framing the conversation, right? And look, can any of us control the ask? What someone that owns a home can control is the asking price, the condition of the home, terms in selling the home, and accessibility. Is there anything else the seller can control? No. What can you control? The visual story, marketing, advertising, negotiations, communication, and customer service. Now, you have to ask them this question. Is there anything else that you feel that I can control as your agent? You need them to say no. Why? Because now they can't blame you. World events, local economy, the stock market, interest rates, I would say the war in Ukraine at this point, and the prices your neighbors choose to accept for their home. You're done. This is it. Now you go through this. Now, does everyone want a good hack on how to get sellers to price their properties effectively? Now, check this out. I would go take a chart, and I did this with a client yesterday. She said, I have a client that is $1,050,000 offer and the house is 115 and they're never going to get an offer like this. How do I get them to take it? And I always love these questions because it makes me feel like I'm some magician that knows how to do everything, like the Harry Houdini of real estate. And I said, okay, well, you can't get them to do anything. They're like, so what can I do? I'm like, watch this. From the time their house went on the market, it was with the previous agent, you, how much have the rate changed? She goes, 1.5%. I go, great. So make a table chart that says with the principal and interest, right? No, principal and taxes. At 4%, how much did that house cost the buyer? 4.25%, 4.5%, 4.75%, 5%, 5.25%, 5.5%. So I would show that to a seller and I would have this chart for every listing. And I would go to them and say, if you were a buyer that was looking for this period of time, and this is what the cost of owning your home was, at some point, what would you expect the seller to do? And they're going to say, lower the price. Would you want to pay this much more for the same thing over the last 45 days? And they're going to say no. And you're going to say, well, the choice you have to make is someone's offering you 98% of what we know is a 99.5% historical high. We know the interest rates are going to go up. And then you know what I would do? I'd put a yellow line and I would go at 6%, 6.5%, 7%, 7.5%. Say, look, if this went up 1.5%, if it goes up another percentage and a half, this is how much more a buyer could do. And then if you really want to be slick, you could go back in that column when the rates go up and say, now, if the rate was what it was in January, this is what they could afford. And then go back and show how much higher the house is. And say, if you're a buyer, this is a real life scenario. Now, what would you do? If you're a seller, do you think that's going to help you make a better decision? If you're an agent, is that going to get you to help them accept the offer? 100%. But again, this is about what coaching forward is. It's coming up with all of these things for all of you. My biggest concern for agents is that they're going to go through this next emerging recession alone. Because just in the way you talk to people and everything, I believe real estate over the next 6 months will change more than it ever has before. Each month, based on all this crazy stuff, there's going to be new shifts, new trends, new conversations. It's not what it used to be. You have all of these things going, and on the other side, you have consumers that are getting more and more and more information. You have lawsuits that could change the entire way that you all work forever. Imagine buyer's agency all just went away and that the buyer had to write you a check out of your pocket. What would happen then? And that goes to this thing. I understand, however, I still want more. Now, why do sellers want more? Besides the fact that they're just greedy, they have special upgrades. People pay anything in this market. I need to get this amount of money. If my home doesn't sell at this price, I'm okay staying. I want to test the market. Same, we made this thing over a month ago when the market was very different. Has this changed for people now? No, it's just a different twist on the conversation. So here are the outcomes. You can overprice the listing and have them blame you for it not selling. You take an overpriced listing and fight with the seller for price reductions on an ongoing basis. You list at the seller's price with a pre-agreed price reduction and a stipulated period of time. For a lot of these sellers, you're going to tell them like the days on market are going to change. Remember, isn't having that chart really handy when doing this now? Absolutely. Look, if I'm an agent, I'm going through, I'm explaining the economy, the triple bubble. I'm going through that chart with people and say, look, the goal is to get you the most equity at an absolute peak. Now, if the cost of buying your home continues to go up like this, and it has for buyers in the last, let's say, 60 days, what could happen if this trend continues? I would be more aggressive with pricing. So if everything was at $1 million, I'd want to go at 950. You'll probably get a bid up to 975, and you got 97% of your whole asset value at the highest peak it's going to be. Not a bad deal, right? So we all have to focus on understanding how to have these conversations. Steps for success. Be in agreement. Great. So I brought my notepad, and let's walk around and specifically see all the upgrades that makes your home worth all the other ones, more than all the other ones. This is the process you use when you have a seller that thinks his house is special. And in all these cases, it comes down to one thing. It comes down to people that have dated homes wanting the same price as updated homes. It doesn't change. So you go around, you make the list, and you're going to say, hey, if we're going to give you money for all these upgrades, you think it's fair if you were a buyer that you'd want a credit to make your kitchen like this kitchen? How much would that cost? And generally, when you go through this and you show them a piece of paper, so all right, so what would you pay for your home? They kind of look at you and they're like, well, I see you have a point. But you have to be enthusiastic and go through the process and not try to explain, and be in disagreement with them on why their house is worth something different. This is what my house is worth. Great. I want more. Right? So look, even when you're combating commission and any of these things, you have to be in agreement with the people. Now, this in a nutshell was our blueprint program. We've gone through this, and I want to do two things in the time that we have today. One, I want to open this up for Q&A. And two, I want to extend a very special offer to all of you on one, how we can continue together. And two, what I'm even more excited about is how I can host all of you in our new office when it's built in the fall and do your business plan together. Because my goal is for our community is not to go through this alone, right? Because why would you want to go through this alone? There's so many things changing and you want to be on the right side of this. I believe that this, you can see people already dropping out of the industry. Look at the NAR reports. This is going to be the biggest shift that any of you will ever live through in this industry. You can already see it happening. Companies are doing layoffs. There's a lot of economic uncertainty. Yes, new office in Westport, Connecticut. I can show you a video. We have this crazy training room with like these 40-foot ceilings, and we have a stage being built in there and a video wall. If you came to Boston, that's the picture I showed them, and we're trying to recreate it. So it's cool. It's all glass, and it's a place where we really think that people can be inspired, collaborate, and grow, because we know the value of in-person training. But quite frankly, has anyone ever gone through a full day business planning session and left with like a book like this with a business plan that said, here's your plan, here's how it's filled out, here's accountability partners you have in the room that you leave with, and here's how you go back and visit your plan every month for the next 12 months to make sure you execute it? Has anyone ever gone through an exercise like that? Most people write their business plans down and never look at them again. So for all of us, we want to keep growing our skills and conversations. I said in the beginning of the program, once you learn these things and you knew how to do them forever, no matter what the market shift was, you'd always be ahead. It seems pretty evident in the slides that we have. None of these slides were recreated. These were all the slides that I made 3 months ago. And all of the information holds true. All right, so Diane has a question. Diana, what is the best way to obtain statistic? Days on the market, percentage purchase, or the MLS? Your MLS has all this information. Why do I think this is going to be the biggest shift over the shift in 2008? Well, look, if you look at all of this, right, you're in a triple bubble economy that no one has ever dealt with. You have technology that clients have that literally, in many cases, you could be better educated from the internet than an agent even knows. So why would you need an agent? You have a government in Missouri that says blanket cooperation for buyer's agent is a form of price collusion and price fixing. And they actually won in favor of the plaintiffs. And it's a class action lawsuit that's being appealed by NAR. But if that ruling holds forth, you're, to me, going to have to sell me why I should work with you as a buyer's agent. And now all of you are going to be competing against each other on price. So therefore, you have to quantify your services. Now, look, there's clearly a difference between Motel 6 and Ritz-Carlton, and people pay for Ritz-Carlton every day. But how predictable is your client experience? If I had to buy what you were doing for me as a buyer, can you even quantify it in a way that makes sense to me so I understand it? These are all things that we need to prepare for. And if they don't happen, that's great. We know how to share a value proposition a lot more effectively. And if they do happen, we're on the right side of this so that we're ahead of it. My goal is to make sure that nobody's behind, because we all are behind. That's how all these other third-party technology sites, that's why we buy our leads back from Zillow. That's how all this stuff happened. Looking for another likely to sell script. Great. I would go back and, Brooke, what was the name of the economist who had the triple bubble? What was his name?
Jeremy Grantham.
Jeremy Grantham. So I would go and quote an economist, and I would say, in a likely to sell, if you look at this, we're in a triple bubble, which means that real estate and blank are at 99.5% highs. If you've ever thought about maximizing the equity in your home, this is a peak market that you can still take advantage of if you feel it's a good opportunity to move. Just wanted to share this information as it has been helpful to so many others. No need to respond. Always here to help. Chirag. I'd write something like that, right? You're sharing, you're being conversational, you're adding value, and you're creating intrigue. Could you advise the best position by agents when the buyers don't, hold on, the buyers don't want to or cannot make a decision as they need to know what will happen with the market next? So then they go back to the broker again and ask, what do you think? What then? Okay, perfect. So the buyer says, do you have a crystal ball for the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months? I'm going to go back to their pre-approval and I'm going to say, look, how long are you looking to stay in this house? Is this a 3 or 5 year investment? Or is this a 7 to 10 plus year home that you're going to live in? The two of them are very different. If it's a 3 to 5 year investment, I think you should wait. If this is going to be a home that you want to raise your family in, or you're going to build your life in, or whatever those reasons are that people have, the only thing that I would ask you to consider is look at the payment today. This is what you know it costs today. You know what the payment of this home is going to be. You know what the cost is going to be. In the future, those two things become unknown. How much will the sellers bring their prices down? I have no idea. How much will the rates go up? I have no idea. What we do know is the Fed said they're going to continue to raise their interest rates throughout the rest of the year. So based on that, Fritz, what do you think is the best decision for you and your family? Does this payment for this home economically make sense, and can you make it comfortably without stress? Is that a really simple conversation to have with somebody? Remember, you're not an economist, you're not a mortgage banker, and you sure as hell are not a fortune teller with a crystal ball. But that's what these people are asking you for. And again, if you don't know how to have the conversation, you're going to have a problem. You're like, well, rates are like this, and these things are historical lows, and prices eventually will come down. How can you say this stuff? You don't know what's going to happen. Some weird thing could happen, and the war could end, and something else could happen, and all of a sudden the prices start going up again. And they're going to say, well, you told me to wait, and prices are going to go down. Never say anything that people could blame you for. When in your listening patient, do you suggest you should have the conversation frame and you can control? I would do the conversation what you can control, I can control before the price. I would say before we discuss the positioning of your home on the market, I wouldn't even say price or value, positioning. How we position your home on the market, there's one thing I'd like us to align around, if that's okay with you. They're going to say, sure. Would you agree there are things that you can control, things I can control, and things that no one can control? And then you're going to go through the whole script. Remember, commission is a culmination of your entire pitch. There's a difference between perceived value and actualized value. And when people are looking to cut your commission, they don't understand what you're offering. And if you haven't practiced this stuff, this is where the challenge is. So I want to take one, I'm going to have a Q&A session at some point next week. We're going to invite a bunch of people, and we're literally just going to let everyone ask questions. There's scripts, and people seem to really like the sales conversations I have in this, and we'll want to make sure to get that to everyone. I want to take a few minutes and share with you what I believe is our natural next step and an invitation into our offices, if that's okay with you. Does anyone have any last questions prior to that? Has this all been a good experience for you? Because I really wanted to make sure that you guys got a lot of value and that what you signed up for actually happened. Now, there's no secret if you're part of any email list, any part of community, any conversation we have that you've not heard about the playbook. It is something that I'm so passionate about. And when I came up with this concept, it was a way of helping everyone in real estate and being able to be everyone's coach. Candidly speaking, there's no group coaching program that someone actually is crazy enough like I am to have every person fill out an intake form and then us assign a track to them based on the same type of agent going through the same thing, so we can collaborate groups and community, and you get an email every week that says, hey, Chirag, these are the classes we think you should take, right? But then I start thinking about the economy and what's going on, and this is the same question I have for everyone. Why are you doing this alone? Like, why? Why would you want to go through the next 6 months of all of these shifts by yourself? It scares me. Like, it truly does. Because if you go back to that opportunity cost of running your house and running your business, one bad month is far more money than you'll ever invest in any program. And the question is this: do you have a plan on navigating through the emerging recession? For most people, the answer is no. Right? And could you imagine if you woke up every day and just knew that no matter what happened in the market, that there was somebody there that's always going to give you the answer? that will know what the next thing is, will know what to say, know what the strategy is, know what emails to send, and will be able to really curate your business in a way that will propel you forward when most people are frozen and going backwards. What would that life look like to you? Would you be able to operate more confidently? Absolutely. Would you feel more comfortable in the conversations you had? Absolutely. And would your business continue to grow? Yes. Now, if you don't do anything, what's going to happen? There are people that choose to spend money on self-promotion and marketing over themselves. You'll go out to dinner, no problem. Spend a couple $100s. We'll go to Starbucks. We'll spend $5 on a coffee. You order a $15 drink. You can go shopping. You can do all of these things. You don't think twice about it. But when you actually look at investing in yourself, all of a sudden people pause. I don't know if I have time. I can't afford it. But this isn't the market it was 3 months ago where you stuck a sign in and the house just sold. There's actually going to be need skills involved. And the question that I have is I've been your coach, but can I be your coach? Can I be your partner through economic uncertainty? Because what we realize is there's two ways of doing this. There's coaching backwards. It's like what we just did is a lot of backwards stuff, right? But now it's coaching forward, right? How do we really be your partner and coach? Meaning once a month, we want to do a live call with everyone and share what are the emerging trends. Then we want to ask you, where are you being challenged the most? And then we want to curate the videos, trainings, and scripts and give it all to you. So no matter what happens, you're actually ahead while learning all those things backwards. So I've had 18 clients of mine who all do $100+ million of business commit in the first 18 sessions that I'm doing to share with you their one best lead generation secret and how you can do it. Like we're literally going to be giving you handouts how these people do it. Some of these agents are the top agents. Matt's a top 50 team in the country. Stacy's a top 50 team in New York City. These people that we all aspire to get our businesses to that level have agreed during these times to share what they know works as a way of contributing to everybody. Whether it's technology, social media, how do you leverage and grow beyond yourself, build a brand? We want to curate this experience and give it to you. And ultimately, where do I feel that I could add the most value is this whole forward concept. Recession, reset, low inventory, changing market, new compass tools. I want to be your partner. I want to make sure that when you wake up every day, no matter what the news says, because it's never going to be great, that you are never alone. And that's my commitment in all this. And I can't do this for hundreds and thousands of people, because could you imagine if we got 1,000 intake forms and we actually had to read through them thoroughly, what would happen? So we're capping this at 250 new people. That's it. Right? Because I can't host everyone in my office. We can't sit here and do this for everyone because we really need to focus on these 5 areas. We need to make sure that no matter what you do and you pitch buyers and sellers, you know what to say every time. We need to curate the best client experience. So if somebody had to buy it from you, they could. We need to make sure that you understand the pillars of profitability. Every month we have a different session with the tax planner. How do you utilize the technology at Compass in a simple way to make money? I don't want you to hit all the buttons. Let me show you the buttons to hit in 5 clicks or less to grow. And ultimately, how do you have predictable lead generation? We know these 5 things will future-proof your business. And we could give it to you all in one place. It's not like you have to go to all these different trainings, right? Because if you look at your business, this is what you're trying to figure out on your own. Do I grow a team? How do I lead a team? Where do I go? Who trains my admin? We have programming and live workshops like this for all of this stuff. And if you have to figure this out on your own, it's confusing. If we read the intake form and give it to you, it's very simple. Now, this is where the curated 90-day experiences come. You send us the form, we curate the experience. It's very simple. And no one succeeds alone. There's a whole entire group of people that we're all meeting on a weekly basis to figure out how to keep you ahead of what's happening. I'm not doing this by myself, nor could I do it by myself. You have great coaches, mentors, and some of the top people in their field willing to help you in all areas of your business. So in the beginning, if you want to grow a team and 90 days later, now you've hired an admin, now you need to focus on leadership, there is stuff here for you, all while learning on what to say to buyers and sellers to stay ahead of the economy. Now, ROI is really simple. You sell 1 house for $1 million or 2 houses for $500,000, you make 838%. As we said with this program, if you've gone through the whole program, you don't feel that you've made a return, we'll gladly refund your money. I don't think there's a single human being that could spend 6 months from now, say that they've gone through this entire thing, spent an entire day with us, for anyone who signs up, in our office doing a live business planning session with us and our team, that they won't get a great return. Now, look, you spend an average postcard mailing is $500. A few nights out to dinner is $500. You'll spend $500 on Zillow, and a shopping spree could be $500. That's the same investment that you can ultimately make in yourself to make sure that during this recession, that your business never goes backwards. It's fairly simple. $497 a month, it's for 6 months, or $2,500 paying full. If you have a team, we have a lot of teams that have signed up their entire teams just like this, $750 a month, $3,500 paying full. For all the principals that decide to join, we only have 200 slots for this. You can come in live and fill out your entire business plan in our office. So there'll be 50-ish agents at each one, and you'll get to collaborate. There'll be networking, there'll be a happy hour, and it'll be a really good time. So I hope you guys choose to continue and not do this alone, because no matter what happens, there's an opportunity cost of what you decide to do and not do. And we all need to be in an area where we're confident, we have a great community, and that we take massive action. And I just want to thank our accountability leaders, Julian, Kate, Sarah, Richard, for taking the time out of their busy days to host all these sessions. The accountability groups, someone just sent a chat to me. Yes, the accountability groups in the playbook will continue similar to what we did, but we're going to focus around in-person meetups, ways to collaborate you guys together. We're going to make sure that the accountability groups are spread around the country, so there's different ways in different markets. So once our group is locked in July, our whole thing is like, how do we keep you ahead and how do we get you guys together? So we'll send a follow-up email with all the information to sign up if you choose to do so. Now, it's always sad to see the end of anything, but I see endings as new beginnings. You guys have confidence in what to say, how to connect with people, and ultimately what to do. You guys have invested a tremendous amount of time over the last 3 months, and make sure that you honor it by time blocking what you need to do in your calendar. Right? I promised that I would end on time. But if anyone has any questions, I will stay on here to answer them. So as always, with love in my heart, I truly love you all. Thank you for being present. Thank you all for the people who turn their cameras on. It's always nice to see people, and look, in-person trainings are something we want to do a lot more of once we have a space and going forward. Let's see, Katie has a question. Is there different than the 12 by 12 points? I'm not sure. Katie, unmute yourself. And thank you for Brooke for putting all our docs together and hosting the community. Great quarterback on here.
Sorry, maybe it's we could use the 10 by 10 points or 12 by 12. I forget what the acronym is.
Send me an email about that. There's a way to do it where you could sign up for several months of coaching and we could give this to you as a bonus. But the way that the marketplace works is the program's in the marketplace. You can use your 10 by $10. So we have a pitch and compass program in the marketplace, and we have one-on-one coaching in the marketplace. So you have 10 by $10. If you buy 4 months of coaching, you'll get one-on-one coaching and you get the playbook for free. If you do 5 months and you have a team, you and your whole team could join. So that is our marketplace offer. Does anyone else have any questions? You can unmute yourself. I like talking to people. That's always great. Tamina?
Yeah, I may have asked this before. So how many times are we meeting again for this new program a week?
It depends on, I'm going to host 4 sessions, but we'll curate your track for you, right? So
Okay.
I would suggest attending my sessions and some of the supplemental sessions that make sense for you.
Okay. So is it once a week then?
Yeah, it's not twice a week. It's the
Twice
same
a
thing. I do 2 sessions, are the same sessions at 9:30 and 12:30. So you'll have 2 sessions a week with me. And then based on what your goals are, we're going to suggest other sessions for you.
Okay. That I
Angela.
understood. I just didn't know the time frame. That's all.
Oh, no problem. Angela, you have a question?
Hey, Chirag, thank you so much for this. This was so helpful. It was awesome to be a part of this. Great way to start the day. So thanks so much. Are you going to send out kind of a price breakdown of everything for the teams and individual?
Yeah, everything's on our website, really. So really the only big difference is it's if you do you have a team or are you an individual?
Team.
So if you have a team, you can do $3,500 or $750 a month, as many people as you want. Whether you have 3 people or 30 people, it doesn't make a difference. If you
Okay.
want to just sign up for yourself, it's $2,500 or $500 a month, and then it's just for you.
And just to be clear, and that includes the business plan,
Yep.
plan planning.
Yes, so the business planning would be for you as the principal who's paying. I can't do it for you and all your team members. But we will let them stream in for the day for all the team members.
Great. All right. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Hey, Chirag, it's Mike here.
Hey, Mike.
Did you say we could use our 10 by $10 that we accrued?
If you have 10 by $10, the way we did this, if you sign up for 4 months of one-on-one coaching, so you'll get a coach that you don't have to use the sessions at any time. You can use them as you need them throughout the year. And then we can give you the playbook as a bonus.
Okay, so that's different than what you're offering on this 6-month program.
It is a 6-month program as a bonus.
Okay. Okay.
So what I would recommend doing, right? The 10 by $10 are good for 2 years, right? And there's always going to be new programming on there.
Okay.
So I would, if you can, I would just sign up and just pay for the program. And then use the 10 by $10 to buy 4 sessions at a time with a coach when you want to implement something specific.
Got it.
I find that if you use your money that way, you'll get the biggest bang for the buck and you'll grow your business the most, because you're going to go through group training, get 80% of what you need. And when you want to customize that 20%, that's where you can really do that.
Okay.
That way you can stretch your money even longer. Anyone else have any questions? Some of you guys are just hanging out. I like that. And Kim Kelly, my apologies on not meeting all of you. And, you learn something new. So I guess when we're going in these markets, we have to do a better job of sharing where we're going to be. But we hope to host all of you soon. And look, business planning is really cool because we're making these books with these plans, and we started doing them now. And we have a variety of experts coming to talk about emotional intelligence, how to work on social media, how to really think about skills, how do we break up into mastermind groups. So it's going to be a really fun day. And something I've realized that no one in this industry really does is business planning is normally like this 60 to 90-minute thing. But I'm like, how can you logically plan out a 6-figure, 7-figure business in 2 hours? It doesn't make any sense. But that's how most business planning in real estate's done. So if you don't really put that time into the plan, how committed and how tied are you to it? Not very much. Anybody else?
Thank you so much. This was one of the most amazing things I've ever been through.
Oh, you made my day. That's very thoughtful of you to share, Kim. Thank you. Look, I share this with all of you because, one, I care, right? And when you see things change for people and people come from a place of fear and they're not confident and things are hard for them because they don't know what to do, it impacts all areas of your life. And I've seen so many people get stuck with so many different things. And that's why I say real estate's coaching, like effective coaching, is the difference between telling people how to do things and actually going through performance coaching to get them to be able to do it. As soon as you feel like you don't know what to say to somebody as a person, you just shut down. And that's what we don't need to do right now. So lean on what you have, lean on your community, and make sure that you don't do any of this stuff alone. It doesn't make sense. And, as you go through this, remember, when you open those seller leads and that likely to sell, there's tons of money in there for everybody. It's there. Think about it. Who wouldn't want to sell their house if they're thinking of moving at a 99.5% high?
I have another question. How long is this stuff available to us on your website?
This blueprint,
Yes.
this is forever. You guys, I said that in the beginning. These
Okay.
recordings will be here for the rest of As long as I'm alive, the recordings will be here.
Okay.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Shoot.
So can you tell me what the how to pitch, what that entails, how to pitch Compass?
I can't tell that to you in 60 seconds.
Oh, okay. I just mean, what is a program? Is it
Oh,
about
it-
perfecting your
it-
listing presentation? What
Yes.
is that
That's what it
program?
is. It's like how to pitch Compass to buyers, sellers, and new prospects so you never lose a listing and client again. That's a whole different skill, right? How do you talk about the company, the technology, the Compass story? How do you share about all the things that you have available for free at your company to get people to hire you?
Okay.
But if you want a good hack on like how to pitch Compass, I would just literally walk into everyone and say, what's most important to you about an agent and company that represents you in the sale of this home? And they're going to tell you what they want. And as long as you know what to say, and that's really what the program teaches you how to do, you can win every listing. You don't need a book. You don't really need anything.
Gotcha. That's what I was looking for. So thank you for sharing that. And is what you just said recorded? Because that was pretty good.
You can message me and I'll send it back to you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And yes, this is recorded.
But no, I'm saying, well, I don't know. Sometimes Q&As aren't recorded. Sometimes they're.
Oh, no, we have
Cut
this.
off.
Brooke will make sure this stays on. Brooke will add that into the weekly recap, just as like kind of a little bonus section.
I'm sure you probably taught us that before. I just don't remember.
No, that's a new one. We haven't got to that yet.
Okay.
All right,
Chirag.
everybody. Yes.
Can you please say the 3 things for the triple bubble again? I got the first 2. I didn't get the last. And I
Great. Yes,
pulled
Brooke's
it.
also going to put this link. Click the link for this video that he has. But the triple bubble is real estate prices, stock
Yep.
prices, and debt prices. So if you think about real estate and stock market all-time high, debt prices is an all-time low. Like people would normally buy debt as an investment, but the debt has been pretty much at zero for all these years at this point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've learned a lot. Thank you very much. And all your programs, the morning programs, I've learned a lot. So looking to implement.
I'm
And
looking forward to
execute.
meeting you. Tamina shows up at our group coaching in the morning. She shows up in the blueprint program, right? Ann Alvarez is another one who showed up on multiple. She generally shows up on 12:30. She actually shared with us, she used one of our email templates from this, and she got a $1.9 million sale out of it. So it was pretty cool.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
That means you guys can all do it too.
Yeah, no, it's good.
So, all right, everybody. Listen, I hope you have a powerful end to the week. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Bye, everybody.
Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.